Tune in to the Diva Hustle Show.
Hey you guys, thanks for tuning in to the Diva Hustle Show. Today our guest is Dr. Sohee, and she's promoting her new book, which I just found out was #1 on the Amazon list, right?
Mm-hmm.
The book is titled The Inner Game and is focused on addressing challenges for the high achieving woman and building lasting confidence through mindset work, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm really proud of it.
So thank you, doctor, for taking some time out of your day. So tell us, what was the inspiration behind writing the book, and what message do you aim to get across to other women?
Really big question out the gate. I love this. So, the inspiration for me was really grounded on the honor of coaching the high executive females and the female leaders that I get to work with. So, in coaching these women and they're really successful, I got curious about what makes them successful. What is that engine or, what is that trait or what is that secret ingredient that allows them to overcome adversity and challenges? And it was that combined with I wanted to really share the wisdom that we all share in our small little tribe of, how women, when they sit down for coffee or tea or over a meal, we get vulnerable and open and we share with those people that we really trust. And I noticed that in my circle, we were doing that. And then I had these really successful women I was coaching that were sharing bits of their wisdom. And I really wanted to amplify that so
Mhm.
that everyone has access to it, so that we all can understand what are those things that make you successful in the way that you define success. And that's really important because everyone should have their own unique definition of success. So that, and then we were going through the pandemic, and I really wanted to bring people into community, feel seen, feel heard, and know that they're not alone in any of the challenges they're going through in work and life.
Wow. And so I know in the book you mentioned unlocking the most pressing work and life change challenges for a high achieving woman. Can you elaborate on some of these challenges and how your book addressed them?
Yeah. This phrase has been so popularized. However, it's really real in terms of the challenge. So, imposter syndrome.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah. And you're like, yes. What I know to be true, so this book also is a culmination of a 2-year study. I did a lot of surveys for the women, and what I know throughout, no matter where you are in your life and at work, whether you're beginning, mid-career, looking at what's beyond in their 60s and 70s, we all have challenges and we all feel imposter syndrome at
Mhm.
some point or another.
Mhm.
And my perspective on that is that it's not something that we need to try to eradicate. It's not something that we try to banish. Really understand, how it affects how you show up is the first place to start. So it starts
Mhm.
with an awareness of, okay, how does imposter syndrome show up for you? And I put in the book steps for people to take to really learn to overcome their imposter syndrome.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, what do you mean by the inner game, and how does it contribute to the lasting confidence and success for women?
Yeah. The inner game is it's all about, in essence, the inner work, right? So anytime we talk about growth and development and, bettering ourselves, it really comes down to the work that we do with our inner knowledge, what are our gaps? How do we get triggered? What are our past things that have, left a lasting effect on us, whether it's big trauma, little trauma, all those things that make up who we are. Do
Mhm.
we understand that? The inner game is about being aware of all of those things that trigger you, that are gaps, that are your strengths.
Mhm.
And it's the mindset piece. And a lot of people are like, what do you mean by mindset? Well, mindset is really at the end of the day how you frame your experience.
Mhm.
It's that lens that, like if you put on a rose, let's use the analogy of the rose-colored lens. It's like, do you frame it that way or do you frame a situation with a negative lens?
Mhm.
So when we become aware of our mindset and how we're framing the situation, we can do so much to anchor into our confidence.
And did you notice that I know you were dealing with a lot of the um, high achieving women when it came to the inner work, that a lot of it was masked because they were so busy with life that they really didn't tap into the inner work, do the inner
Yeah,
work?
I think that's a really good question. It's a combination of things. So yes, women are all like so busy. We're doing so many things, right? I'm sure you understand this too. You probably have a podcast and so many other things going on, which I know is true. That is most women these days. And so, yeah, we might be at one point have space for doing the inner work and inner reflection, and the habits that go along with that. And then we drop it because we're doing other things. So we come in and out of it. And some of us don't give it enough of a try to really see that it does make an impact. I think we are so anchored in like instant gratification these days that sometimes you do have to take a little bit of a longer perspective to know that what you're doing is building to something.
Right. And can you share some insight or stories from the women in the book that have had a significant impact on your own journey?
Oh, yes. I always say this. I get the most, I think, I'll take that back. I get so much out of being a coach in my own growth and development. What I mean by that is not only do I get to help others and help women go from good to great or be their best version of them, I also benefit from that because I practice what I preach. And I think as a coach, if I'm not doing that, I'm not really aligned to who I am and what I'm doing and what I say out in the world. And it's very important to me that I'm very congruent and aligned so that what I say is what I practice.
Right, right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I do the mindset work every day. I have habits within my day that help me anchor into, okay, how am I feeling right now? Am I being triggered? What's my mindset? How can I show up differently? It's literally, Paris, it's minute by minute that I'm doing this.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely something like, it's not like I mastered it next. It's always, you have to work on your mindset every day, especially as an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah, you know this. Entrepreneurship is a whole nother journey with its own set of unique challenges. So, absolutely, mindset work helps.
So I know that you invited readers to the table to share their wisdom and smarts and what was what was their drive. Can you share some insight of the stories? Oh, did I read that one? Okay, I had that. No. Let me go back. I'm gonna have to edit that part.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. How important is mindset in achieving new heights of success and fulfillment?
I think it's everything. If we don't have an awareness of our mindset about what we want to achieve, what we want to do, and how we want to get there, it's really nearly impossible to do that. I think a lot of people think, okay, I'm just using an example of like what's popular in culture right now, pop culture, which is I'm just gonna manifest it and sit here and just think about it. That's one part of it, right? It's like the mindset work is okay. Let me make sure that my mindset is one about embracing challenge and working through when I feel insecure, I'm still going to move ahead. And it's also coupled with action. So it's yes, and yes, you have to have the mindset, absolutely, and then you have to pair that with action.
Right. And I think that's the misconception. I feel like when coaches are selling like, oh, I'll be a coach, it's like, oh, well, you just have to picture it. You have to put the actions. You have to stay, like you said, with align with yourself and being able to be like, okay, this is how I'm feeling, but this is the action. Let me take a step and let me try the action that came to mind and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And try it out. So like my whole mantra is don't try to do everything all at once. That's going to really set one up for overwhelm and probably not as successful as you want to be. Really do the next small action. So for example, if you want to start a business,
Mhm.
what's that one small action that can take you forward? Is it, okay, I see, Sohee's a coach. I want to connect with her and find out how she did it. Let me take that first step.
Right.
And then once you do that, you get information. Then what's that next step again? Instead of saying, I'm going to do 10 different things all at once and I'm overwhelmed and I can't, I'm not going to do any of it. And
Right.
a lot of us get stuck there.
Yeah. And like you said, because if you take the small steps, like you said, just the one thing a day, you'll find out that the next day is something you're getting closer to that goal or whatever that outcome that you want to set. And like you said, you're not going to get overwhelmed. It's just because I feel like with people, they come out with a list and then they see everything and then they don't see any results and then they get overwhelmed and they hit the wall.
That's exactly right. And I see that way more often than not. So the way to work around that overwhelm and that inaction is think about, okay, 5 years from now, I want to have X type of business. Let me back into it. What do I do now, year one? And then, start with that small action. My secret, my recipe to success is micro actions done consistently over time.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. Notice I didn't say perfectly. I didn't say like, 100,000% of the time. It's just take the small actions, do it consistently, and do it over time. And know that this is a long game, not just something that you like do in an instant.
And so, can you share some strategies or exercise from the book that women can use to start working on their mindset in the game?
Yeah. The number one thing, it's in one of the first chapters, I believe it's chapter 1, where I identify and list out all the different mindsets that are the dominant ones.
Okay.
And in the next few weeks, or by the time this podcast comes out, people can go to my website to download the guide on identifying their mindset.
Oh, wow, that's good.
So yeah, that is the perfect place to start, is identify which of your mindset is the most prevailing one. Is it the people-pleasing one? Is it perfectionist? Is it black or white thinking? What's that mindset? And maybe sometimes it veers into more than one area, and that's normal and okay. But you have to start from a place of awareness. So once you read through all the different ways that that type of mindset shows up, you go, okay, that's me a lot of the time. Okay, let me think about how that has shaped how I show up every day and in what situations, and how do I then start to work with that? That's point number one. Got to know what your mindset is.
Right. And that's important because if you don't know where your mindset, I feel like sometimes some programs you'll just jump in and then you're like, I'm not getting results. What is the problem? Because you don't know where your mindset is. Are you a people pleaser, or like you said, are you just the black and white person where you just don't really understand the creativity part of it? You can't visualize. So yeah, the mindset is really important when you're getting started.
Yeah, there's several. I want to say I listed about 7 or 8 different ones.
Mhm.
So it's a great place to start. Again, it's on my website and people can download that and then start to see. The step number 2 would be like, okay, I see how this mindset has really impacted me playing small or not taking that risk. And then there's other steps after that. But they got to pick up the book.
You got to get the book, trust me. What's some misconceptions or challenges that high achieving women face when it comes to mindset and confidence?
That confidence is just something you have.
Okay.
Right? I mean, how many of us go like, oh gosh, she just looks so confident. She just must be born with it. Or she just has it, or life is easy, or things go well for her. We make all of these assumptions. Again, that's the framing we give somebody. Oh, so-and-so has it easy. They're confident. They look X, Y, and Z. And it's also, by the way, human nature. We do that because part of our brain is ingrained to like make stories really quickly.
Right.
And then, I think it's really realizing that confidence, this is again something that I say, it's a mantra of mine. Confidence is built in the doing.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah, it's an outcome of the mindset stuff. It's the outcome of really quieting your inner critic. And I call mine the gremlin, when she like gets loud and really mean and like, you can't do that. Who are you to write that article? Who are you to write a book? Quieting her, taking the micro action. And again, those things amount to core confidence, not just confidence that is about one situation, but really one that is with you through every situation in life. And that's what ultimately I coach my clients around, is having core confidence that's really done through going through challenges.
And the thing about, like you said, challenges also, when you get in the confidence from the challenges, is because you fell, you got up, but you learned something.
That's
So you
right.
so you grew, right? As a
That's
person.
right. You know, and what's interesting is that, especially in the workplace, we are really recognized for being an expert, right? You get paid to be the expert. You get a promotion because you're the best at something. So it kind of uh, breaks us down from trying different things, from reflecting on past experiences, from making mistakes. It really tries to shake us out of that mode, which is where growth really happens.
Right.
So we get put into this box and we get programmed into it and very scared of doing something wrong or making a mistake or seeing as though we don't know something.
Right.
And that's the adult persona. With kids, when you're around kids, or if I have 3 kids of my own, or if you're around kids at all, you see them do it all the time, every second. It's not a blip on their radar. They just keep rolling, keep doing it. And, you know, I think it's a bit of a shame that as adults, we get that taken out of us, programmed out of us. And it's our job to really reorient back to it's okay to take a risk, it's okay to make a mistake, because that's where I learn and build core confidence.
Yeah, and that's key because, like you said, it's okay to fall. It's okay to get up. As adults, we have to be more gentle with ourselves. Like you said, it's somewhere in the world became where we have to be perfect and we don't make mistakes. And if you feel like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean, she
Yeah.
wasn't successful, but actually, her failing is a lesson and it's a blessing at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think I love what you said there because it is about that's how we grow.
Right.
Like, oh, yeah. And the grace for ourselves. I love that because when we can be kind to ourselves, that's when we can embrace that, okay, I'm actually okay I made that mistake. I
Yeah.
don't care if I look like a fool. And that is a part of befriending ourselves, right?
It is. So, what advice could you give to women for self-care so that they avoid burnout and maintain a healthy mindset?
Yes. My I say this, the first thing is to break up with the notion of balance. So break up with balance. Break up, just let it go.
Mhm,
That is what leads to burnout for so many. I want to say 95% of the women that are high achieving, high performing, ambitious leaders or not, because we want to do it all.
mhm,
And again, when you go back to the mindset stuff, that could be driven by the people pleasing. We want to do it all for everyone. That could be driven by the perfectionism mindset where, hey, I got to get it all perfect and take care of my kids and make the meals perfectly from home and also run my business and walk my dog and all the things.
mhm.
Uh, so it is about breaking up with balance so that you can say yes to the things that are a priority and no more to the things that don't align to your priority and focus right now.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had to deal with that as well. Like you said, just
Really?
yeah, I went through it and I was one of those, it had to be a professional. And then I was more like a people pleaser. And now I'm at the point where it's like, no, if it don't align or feel good, it's just like, no, And also what I've learned that I had to do more playful things for like kids. That's how I like, re-energize my battery. But it's really important though, knowing that.
Oh, tell me about that. That's interesting. I love that you said you oriented to play because that is where inspiration comes from.
It does, yeah. Yeah, I'll
Mhm.
go like the Dave and Buster. Like I have kids that's I think they 15 and 16. Yeah. And so I be like, come on, let's go to Sesame Place. And they be like, no.
Are they too they feel too they're too old for it?
Yeah, but I hear it is. I'm like, I'm ready to go, like, come on, let's go to the trampoline playground. And they're like, no. And I'm like, come on. Like, so just that kind of stuff is just for me. That's how I re-energize my battery.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I mean, I think that that gets to self-care, right? So the
Right.
question, you know, when you do feel a level of burnout and tiredness, and for me, that shows up as irritation, like things I don't normally get irritated about. I'll know that if I start getting irritated, I'm like, okay, I need some kind of self-care, extra self-care. So that looks like for me taking a walk. So walking and being outdoors is so important for me and getting creative and inspired again. So I make sure that I build that in. But also, Paris, I every day have a routine. So every morning I'll meditate, do a guided meditation, either for 5 minutes up to 30, 40 minutes, depending on how stressed I am. So the more stressed I am, the more I meditate, right?
Right.
And because people usually flip that. So the more stressed they are, the less they do it, and then they just put it off the calendar. So it should be the reverse.
Right.
So I'll do that first thing in the morning. And by now my kids know not to. So my daughter just this morning saw that I put on my headset to do the guided meditation. She was gonna walk into my room and she walked right back out because she knows I've trained my kids at this point. Do not bother mom for the 5 minutes I'm meditating. So I do that, and then I get some movement in every day, whether it's in the morning or throughout the day. It's a non-negotiable for me, and it's a way to keep myself from going to burnout or feeling overwhelmed. So I make sure I take care of myself in that way. And here's the flip on that is when women can really own that, it
Yeah.
allows us to give back tenfold. Because don't we want to, women do that. We give because we can, and because that's how we're geared to nurture and care. You know, most of us are oriented that way. And we have to flip the narrative that putting into us is a selfish act, because in reverse, it allows us to give back tenfold.
It does. It does. And lastly, what advice would you give to high achieving women who are looking to embark on a journey of inner growth and lasting confidence?
Well, number one, get my book.
I love it.
And then secondly, you know, I would say if they haven't worked with a coach before, it's a great place to start getting curious about the possibilities that can happen when they partner with somebody like me. And then secondly, you know, if they don't have anywhere to start, I would say again, like start small, maybe getting curious about, okay, well, what does it look like for me to start reflecting on areas that I need to develop? What do I think that is? And you might start with getting feedback from people that you trust, not necessarily your best friend because they may be too close to you and want to make you feel good. So go to people that you respect either at work or outside to say, hey, give me some feedback. How do you think I show up? What do you think my strengths are? What do you think my areas I need to develop are? And so that's a really easy place to start as well.
And if people wanted to purchase the book, where can they purchase? I know it's on Amazon, and where else is it purchased? They can purchase.
Yeah, it's exclusively with Amazon. And right now, and I'm again, the timing of the podcast, I don't know when it'll air. There's an ebook version as well that's available in that format. And then in May, people can listen to it on Audible, narrated by yours truly.
Oh, congratulations. I love
Yeah,
that. Are you
thank you.
excited about it? You're doing the reading, right?
Yeah, I read it. It's recorded and will be out in May. So if people have Audible, and I know again, like for women, especially if they have kids, that's a really good option. So I would say start there too. And yeah, you know, it's just take that next step forward.
Right. I appreciate it. Yeah. So I appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule. Love talking about your book. Anytime you want to come back, you're always welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is great.
Thank you. All right.
Tune in to the Diva Huxley Show. Motivate the glow. We give you more info. Think to my head to toe. I let the whole world know. I let the whole world know.